And now we have the next panel discussion, which will be highlighting the cybersecurity in a connected world, protecting what matters, for which I would like to invite our esteemed panel members. Please help me invite with a round of applause Mr. Dheeraj Chawla, CIO, CMO, Shib and Sons Private Limited. With a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Dheeraj Chawla is an award-winning leader and the CIO, CMO at Shib and Sons Private Limited, a dynamic motivational speaker, management and IT expert, chief mentor and panelist. He's passionate about continuous learning and sharing industry insights. Once again, a louder one for Mr. Dheeraj Chawla, ladies and gentlemen. And now please help me invite with a round of applause Ms. Richa Daga, software engineer and Vice India leader, CISCO. Let's make a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as she makes her way to the stage. Ms. Richa Daga is an award-winning global technical speaker and international best-selling author. She has graced numerous technology and leadership podcasts and is a regular speaker at various global conferences. Now I would like to invite our next panel member. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me invite with a round of applause Mr. Nawal Kishore, Cybersecurity Practice Leader, Evolent Health.
So can we have a big round of applause for Nawal joining on the stage?
With just 7 years of professional experience, Nawal has already carved a niche for himself as the Cybersecurity Practice Leader at Evolent Health. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please help me invite with a round of applause Mr. Ankur Jhingran, Global VP Cloud Technology Team, Teleperformance. Mr. Ankur Jhingran is the Global Vice President of Cloud Technology at Teleperformance, where he leads global cloud service delivery and security across multi-cloud environments. And now please help me invite for this session our moderator, Ms. Anjali Dutta, VP Head of Digital Studio Tech Mahindra.
So big round of applause for Anjali joining on the stage.
A seasoned and visionary leader at the forefront of customer experience, gaming, AI, metaverse, and cutting-edge technology innovations, spearheading creative and strategic initiatives that drive innovation and business excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a huge round of applause for all our esteemed panel members and our moderator, Ms. Anjali. Can we have a louder one? And I request Ms. Anjali to please lead the discussion for us.
Sure. Thank you so very much. So how is everybody feeling today? Yeah? Good? Okay. All right. So I think we had a very powerful session just before us, right? I think a lot of thought-provoking ideas were actually thrown, right? People talked about their mindset, how they've been using, this new age tool that we talk about, AI, right? And so forth. Today, right now we're going to be talking about the cybersecurity, right, which is the most sensitive part of the entire thing that we talked about. Any technology innovation, when it happens, right, it brings a lot of things on the table, right? One, lot of advantages, how we can wisely use it and get our things faster, much more appropriately done. But also at the same time, there are a lot of challenges that comes as well, right? So in this discussion today, we'll be unlocking those challenges and also want to learn from our extreme guest here how they think they can resolve it. What are those solutions by which a lot of challenges can be addressed as well? Now, before I go there, I'll just keep the entire conversation quite lighter for all of us. So if I may ask you this question, how have you people come today to this place? Did you got your cars or you took Ola, Uber or something? I took Uber. Yeah? How many had Uber today? Yeah, okay, all right. Oh, very less of, fantastic, good, right. So, fine. So when I was actually booking the cab today in the morning, I am a frequent user of Uber as well. And I expect Uber to know me, right, where I'm going. And I travel a lot. I go to different cities and towns as well. And whenever I land in a different city, I expect Uber to be knowing where I want to go. And it all happens automatically for me. I don't have to labor and trouble myself too much. I simply say, there are predefined location that comes in because he knows where I go normally, and I click on it and the activity happens, right? And then here comes the payment mechanism. I always say, okay, take bill from my credit card, and it actually does that as well. The very difficult thing that today I find is just to remember my CVV number, which I do now, to actually get my transaction done. So what I'm even talking about today, considering the world that we play in, everything is just a one-click away activity, right? We don't have to remember anything. We want automation at every point, correct? But that also brings a lot of, I would say, challenges as well. We don't, as an end customer, figure out those challenges are. As long as my journey is very smooth, it's all okay. But for the technology enablers, the people who work at the back of that entire experience need to ensure that Anjali's data is safe and secure, right? She doesn't get exposed to any dangerous things like, money getting, misused, her bank details, her credit card details getting leaked and so forth, right? Now, that is going to be the point that we will be discussing right now. Now, just putting an overarching question to everyone, right? So how has AI changed the nature of cybersecurity, right? And what that means when it comes to people security and people themselves, right? So this is going to be open question for all of you. So I want to hear your perspective on this. So who want to start first?
Hello. Yeah. Thanks for the question. And I think depending upon the past session that we just had, where we talked about how AI is revolutionizing different industries, it becomes very imperative to talk about how the cybersecurity comes into the picture as we have started using AI into our organizations, as the people have started using AI. So just beginning with the question now, I've just put a fact today that according to a number of organizations that participated in a survey that happened with my company CISCO last year, about 86% of the organizations faced a cybersecurity related threat. And the survey also came up with an interesting observation that around 50% of the employees are now using Gen AI adoption, but around 22% of the employees are using generative AI tools that are not monitored anywhere. So such kind of usage of not monitored tools can just give an attack surface to various kind of threats who can just creep into the organizations and leak out confidential data into the public. So such kind of facts and figures highlight the alarming rate at which cybersecurity incidents are growing because of the adoption of AI that is coming in. And just to, on a lighter note, how many of you would have heard the word social engineering? So yeah, so social engineering just looks like something like a computer science engineering or a electronics and communication engineering from which I graduated. But no, social engineering is about phishing. Yep. Phishing is not F-I-S-H-I, phishing. And how many of you would have heard wishing? So there's 1 person, 2, 3 people who have heard about wishing. Smishing. So phishing, these are not just some kind of attractive words like phishing, wishing, smishing. These are related to how AI is attacking us through malicious emails, through malicious voice kind of attacks. That is wishing. And smishing is text-based attacks, SMS, and that is how the word smishing came up. Water holing. How many of you would have heard about water holing attacks? So my panelist has heard about all the attacks. So water holing is about how many, like, you go into different kind of websites. So attackers know which kind of websites you're accessing, and they try to plant some kind of malicious data there, and which if you would access that, it would just gain control into your entire system. That's a water holing attack. And spear phishing. Take a spear and do the phishing because it gets targeted individual attacks are there. So these kind of terms I'm just using to bring into the human angle that humans are not untouched anymore. And as the people who are working in different organizations, we need to keep our organizations very safe and secure. We need to use the Gen AI tools, but they should be monitored for their usage. And it's not completely up to us. Organizations also need to monitor what kind of tools the employees are using it. So these kind of things which I'm telling right now is only to bring to a little surface as we're just beginning the session, that such kind of attacks are being triggered because of the increased usage of artificial intelligence into our organization's work. Like we were talking about coding in the previous session. What if you are using such kind of a tool which is not secure? You will just leak your entire organization's confidential data out into the market. So that's why organizations have campaigns. Like I work in CISCO, we have Keep CISCO Safe, KCS campaigns, which keeps on educating us about the various kind of cybersecurity incidents that happen. So these are just some kind of things that I wanted to bring into the light, but we can hear further into as we dive into more questions.
Yeah. So sorry. Before we have our other members also throw lights here. So very interesting things, Richa, you talked about, and I want to keep this entire thing more conversational in nature, right? So Richa, all what you spoke about makes a lot of sense for people who comes from engineering background or work from a top IT organizations and so forth, right? But for the normal human being, right, the people who are the users, for example, my mother came yesterday to me and I was working. She said, "Don't pick any call coming from Airtel. There is an Airtel warning coming continuously. I got almost 50 calls. Please don't pick anything." And she's actually on an Android platform, right? Obviously the phone, and I am on iPhone. I said, yeah, fine, mom, you just block it and just get out of it, right? But understand a normal individual getting very panicked about all of these things happening. Now, there is a lot of security that can be brought in terms of how the solutioning of the platform building is done by usage of which tool is not leaking customer information out, etc., etc. But we also have to do a lot of conversation back to the normal human beings who don't understand that, how they are safe and secured, right? What are those guardrails for those people, right? And so forth, right? So I just wanted to throw, that as an open question for, all of you to address as well as you answer the first question.
So you're absolutely right. As you're working into this domain, we have the opportunity to be more aware regarding what kind of attacks can come in. But if I talk about people like our parents or anyone who we come across who are not aware of these things, it's necessary to be aware now in the terms of what the world we are living in. So yes, as per what the government campaigns they are happening. Anyway, whenever we like to make a call, what is the first thing that we hear today? We kind of hear a note that do not trust anything which is coming. The banks do not ask for any of your data. So such kind of awareness has started being made into the public, but it is up to the public to pay heed to it. So that is why if we want to bring the human angle into it, we want to use these tools. People like us, it's our onus is to us to educate the people at our home, because if you would like said, charity begins at home, like cybersecurity awareness also begins at home currently.
Beautiful, well said.
So yeah, I would like to hear from our fellow panelists on the same topic.
Thank you, Richa. I think very well said, and probably she read my mind, so few pointers she has already covered, and I'll add up one to that. So the way we see it, AI has actually turned the cyber threats into an assembly line production. These cyber threats are faster, they are cheaper, and they are scalable. I mean, they can launch these attacks at a lightning speed at multiple geos, multiple locations, all at the same time. They really don't have to spend too much on that. Now, since AI has strengthened offense as well and the defense as well, so threat actors are now using AI, mostly are automated attacks which are being happening on the organizations and on the personal front. I think the moderator already mentioned that. Now, how do we do that? I mean, how do we protect ourselves? What are we doing right now? What is the industry practices and all? So from a defense standpoint, what has AI done, or what we are doing right now is the anomaly detection now is completely automated. Threat intelligence is completely productive, right? The tools which are coming in, the SIME tools, right, which are any which ways analyzing the data which is there, which is traveling within the organization, it is collecting the information. That is again AI based. It is checking the data live. It is not about an email coming in. Now, with all these things, AI has also strengthened the offense part of it, defense part of it. Then the most important thing, I think what our previous panelists mentioned about is the human trust comes into the play. With these deep fakes coming in and the wishings and all the spearhead attacks, targeted attacks and all that, threat actors are become so intelligent, they will target the senior citizens in the personal domain because they will trust people. That is where it is getting attacked. They're telling people and we all have heard, that they will probably take the name someone from your contact list and then say, oh, hey, I'm calling this. They will probably not think twice. They will arise that emotion. There was an excellent comment which was mentioned in the previous discussion on the human psychology. Right now, AI has actually empowered the threat actors to exponentially use the human psychology as well. The moment we hear that someone we love in our network, in our family is in danger, our cognitive abilities suddenly goes down, and we want to help that individual, maybe either through passing on the money or anything else. There are a lot of threats which have already taken place. So what do we do? Of course, the awareness is first part of it. Organizations are doing it, families are doing it, government is doing it. What next? What is that we at an organizational level are trying to protect our data? One, of course, is the cybersecurity trainings, which have to be done. The second part is, we were talking about using, there are a lot of tools which are getting used, but how do we protect that tool or the data which is in there? So there are the private LLMs which we have been created, right? So the data is not traversing through to the internet itself. So what is going to the internet, again, that is also monitored. What is coming in, what is going out, absolutely everything is getting monitored, filtered by the power of AI itself. So AI is getting used on both the ways. The only thing is the human trust which comes into the play. How are humans, which is probably the weakest link when it comes to the cyber security, right? So threat actors generally attack the human trust, and they will get into the system, right, either through the emails, and all these personalized emails have become so better, their grammar, their tone, everything has so become better. I think majority of the people are not even able to understand whether it is a spam or this is an attack or not. So these things will continue to grow, but at the same time, our awareness level also has to grow.
No, thank you so much, Ankur. This is so very beautiful what you just talked about. And I have a habit of putting some real examples on the table as well. So once my mom, in fact, my brother got a call, and then there was a person saying, I urgently need money, right? And it was exactly the same voice of the individual that he knew, right? And he got slightly, he did not realize there's something which is odd here, and he was about to make a transaction, but luckily he reached out, he paused for a minute and he asked another family member, hey, I'm getting a call from this guy and he's asking for money, right? It sounds like he's in a serious, terrible problem. What do I do, right? Interestingly, the other person in the family actually said, I really doubt what this is, and why don't you make a call to another person who knows this guy? And actually they made a phone call and they realized it was completely, fake thing, right? So what does that mean? And in fact, our previous panel, we discussed about there'll be no gap between how humans will talk and what AI would do, right? And that's a serious threat, right? While we continue to engineer, continue to innovate things, we also have to ensure that at what point we have to stop, right? Because we can't have human and humanities goes for a toss just like that, right? Use innovation and do innovation in such a way that it doesn't harm. So while we can't stop innovation from happening, we have to invent and ideate on guardrails, right? For example, if there is no gap between how data from AI is generated, it is very human, it has the right emotion, it has right sentiments, everything in there, and it is difficult to differentiate between the real human conversation and a bot conversation. What is that secret thing that you invent in that detects it's not real human, right? That's where the new age innovation would be, and that's what we all need, right? Yes, Ren.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I would like to add to Ankur's point about AI with cybersecurity, right? So AI has completely, written the scripts for cybersecurity. Earlier, it was just about, protecting your user IDs and passwords, credentials, right? But it's not like that anymore. Now, you have to protect your entire identity and, in fact, the reputation. So if I give a simple example, we use our phones, right? And let's say if somebody has access to your phone, now your phone is connected to internet and also your home Wi-Fi. And that particular Wi-Fi is connected to every device in your home, right? That includes your smart TV or your smart fan or anything, right? So if someone has access to just to your smartphone, they can have access to everything. And let's say you have your personal computer on your home, in your home, and it has all the credentials or maybe the bank username, passwords, right? And you're just gone, right? Ultimately, everything is a financial loss. So I think with this changing world, of cybersecurity with AI, it's not just cybersecurity with AI, it's cybersecurity versus AI, because AI is not just used for attackers, but they are also used by, they can be also used by defense, right? So I believe going forward it will be a huge war between, from like AI versus AI. It would be completely AI versus AI. And yes, there are a lot of factors here, like, so yeah, talking about, yeah, I like.
Sure, I'll give you more ideas. Yeah. So you spoke very nicely, Nawal, about this. See, we are in the world of connected devices, and that's what you also talked about, right? And then I'll tell you, we have these smart homes these days, right? And now we are not talking about that traditional locks that we used to have, right? That we will comfortably open, and if somehow the lock isn't working, we'll actually go to nearby shop and hey, somebody come over, just break it and I'll get into my house, right? Today we have these smart locks where, biometric is used, right? My thumbs, impressions are used to enter my house, right? But that's another information which is very confidential about me as an individual. You're reading my retina, you are actually reading my, thumb impressions, right? And then there are several other, places where I am leaving my impressions. You know me, right? And I think you don't know me, but you know me fully, right? So, but what I'm trying to say that we cannot stop this from happening. You will continue to have this innovation and new, smarter, things coming in, right? Smarter world, smarter devices, smarter tools. We have to figure out what are those strong guardrails, what are those methods and mechanisms we can introduce at every point by which a customer's data is actually taken care of, right? Plus, you also talked about if a damage has happened, the damage is so huge. It's not only the damage to an individual, but it's also a damage to the reputation of the brand which is involved, right? The brand reputation goes for a toss. Yeah, so, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I agree with that fact. So I would say previously it was all about data theft and stealing, right? Now it's about leading the information or maybe misleading. So maybe going forward, or it's actually happening nowadays that there will be a LinkedIn account for an organization and they'll be putting a video, and let's say there is a file in their machine which they think it's untouched, right? But when they'll be uploading it, it won't be the same file as they expected it to be. So that is what the misleading or misinformation is about, right? The attackers are not just throwing the ransomware or viruses in your machine. They are in your machine, and they will be just changing your information or identity or maybe files and folders as well. So we just not have to be attentive about adding multi-factor authentication and these things to your daily routines, but you have to be self-aware, and you have to be aware of what you're doing with your phone, what your smartphone is doing in your backend. Yeah. Right? It is always listening to us. If you'll just open your Instagram now.
You got me so much. Yeah. Nawal, so how can you actually end up saying so many things which is triggering so many thoughts, right? And I think the audience listening here will actually say, Anjali, you are not doing a good job as a moderator. You're yourself speaking, because you're giving me a lot of pointers to talk about, right? So 3 things you spoke very beautifully, and we need to make a mention of it, right? Is that you talked about that there's a lot of wrong information going out, right? And wrong information is not only which is attacking your machine or something, it is actually attacking your mentality, right? It is actually psychologically impacting you, right? I just want to say that, but obviously it's a little bit of a complicated statement as well, right? We have seen a lot of wars happening off lately, right? Do you know a lot of information and a lot of misinformation was actually on social media? How many of you are aware of that fact, please, by the way? Yeah, so it's surprising, only, I would say 40% of you are aware of the statement that I'm making. Do you understand how severe is this? Because the entire, we are talking about countries, right? We are talking about our own country, other countries and so forth. We are talking about humanity, right? We are very easily getting trapped and getting confused and getting victimized because a lot of false information is actually getting continuously broadcast on social media and other channels, right? By people like us. So there is somebody, right, who is manipulating, creating those videos which are actually deep fake videos, but they are so thoroughly built that you can't even identify the difference, right? So again, that goes back to the ethical use. And how can every one of us, people who are not that digitally native, identify that thing? It is, how are you actually then figuring out information from all the different channels, right? Don't rely completely on a social media content that is coming in. You can actually go and check other channels for the authentication of it. Now, today, you can see a lot of television industry, predominantly if I talk about the news industry, right? They have a source getting mentioned, right? From where they're actually getting that information. That is very, very important. So as we are the innovators and we are the users ourselves as well, we need to ensure that wherever we're using these smart tools and devices, we are bringing that disclaimers, that authenticity on the table as well. So that's very important point that you mentioned.
I agree with that as well, and I think we should use AI to suspect AI as well, right? I think, so nowadays what happens is we are creating content from AI and then asking AI to make it AI free, right? So that is how the projects are being made in colleges now. So if AI can do that, AI can do a lot of things like detecting the actual threats, detecting your phone or anything, or detecting your devices, right? So I think we have to, we should be, our phones should be, or our devices should be configured with these kind of AI tools so that they can handle and detect it really well. I think humans cannot detect AI as much. AI can itself, right?
Yeah.
So, and just one thing to add here, it's out of this thing. So universe has created humans, right?
Here we go. Yeah.
So humans cannot overpower the universe, right? Humans cannot touch the speed of light, as Einstein has said. We can reach up to 99.99%, but not 100%. The same way, humans have created AI. AI cannot ever overpower humans. That is my personal
Very
thought.
well said, very well said. And that takes me to another point that we've been discussing since morning, right? If I may ask, how many of us remember a phone number outside our own phone number, by the way? Oh, so sorry. Let's be honest, right? I do not remember anybody's number apart from my number and my brother's number, that's it, right? So I was actually going to US a couple of weeks ago and I had this old habit, oh my God, if I'm going to bloody lose my phone, what's going to happen, right? And then you get into panic attack because you don't remember anything. You're not used to remembering anything now, right? So what I did the traditional thing, right? Ages ago, I used to have a small diary and I used to keep the phone numbers of important people who I can reach out to. But imagine if that diary is stolen, what will happen? Anjali is gone for toss, right? Now, excuse me, let's come back. Humans are blessed with something that ma'am also talked about today in the morning and I really loved it. You have your own intelligence, you have your own memory things, right? Do practice. And what she is doing in her institute is actually telling kids, okay, don't come and show me a standard PPT. ChatGPT and other tools does this beautifully. You are actually copying from that and making a prompt. Tell me what you build and why you build what you build. What is your logic behind that, right? So there will be a world which would need not a coder, not XYZ guys, but a person who understands strategy, a person who can actually ask, why am I doing this, what I'm doing, right? So I just wanted to make that point. See, humans definitely can't be replaced unless we realize we don't want to be replaced by something else.
Yes, finally it's my turn, Anjali. Thank you for that. I'll start with Madam quoting about our generation, Star Trek. Right, and there was Captain Clark, right? James T. Clerk, right? So yeah, he was James T. Clerk. So I mean, we are still living that era now. I mean, that was a friction, and now that's a reality now. From a world of man to man, from man to machine, machine to man, we are in a in a horrifying stage of generation where we'll be from machine to machine will be interacting. So starting with that, the smartness is, frankly, I was one of the backbenchers in the school, and what we used to do, we used to focus on, आपके पेपर लीक हो जाए, आपको क्वेश्चन मालूम चल जाए. तो लकीली आई कुड, अंजलि के 1-2 क्वेश्चंस मैंने लीक कर लिए हैं, तो उसका मैंने पूरा एक सेट बनाया है अपने आंसर्स का. एंड trust me, it's not through ChatGPT, and it has taken me 1 hour to. So, with your permission, shall I?
Yes, sir, please.
Anna, you can follow your questions later, answers
Sure,
first. Yes. Here I go. The key preparatory steps. Proactive monitoring and early warning system. This applies to all business units, whether it's SMEs or your large, medium scale. AI-powered monitoring. Utilize AI tools for continuous round-the-clock monitoring of social channels, news outlet, online discussions to detect early sign of reputational threats, including misformation, deepfakes, and data breach discussion. Then from time and again, you need to do a reputation audit. It's an ongoing process. Conduct regular AI reputation audits to assess vulnerabilities and identify potential area of risk related to AI-generated content or cybersecurity weakness. Then we can go to integrated crisis response protocols. Cross-functional teams establish crisis management teams that include both cybersecurity and PR experts to ensure a coordinated and rapid response to the blended threat. Rapid response protocols develop and implement clear protocols for responding to AI-driven crises, including swift action and consistent messaging across all platforms. You need to strengthen your brand authenticity, and that's by trust. Authenticity and transparency. Double down on authenticity in the brand. Communication, ensure transparency in operations, while maintaining necessary control to prevent misuse of information. Involve your employees. Employee advocacy. Empower employees as a brand ambassador to enforce positive brand messaging and counter potential misformation. And then comes different legal and ethical things attached to it. So the brand should prepare for an AI-driven future by focusing on few key areas. Data strategy and governance. Establish robust data collection, management, government framework to ensure data quality, privacy, and ethical use. Because data is the backbone of your AI. Whatever you feed in, you can extract the things from out.
Absolutely.
Then you need to be in constant touch with your customer, because the customer experience, personalization, leverage to AI to analyze customer data and deliver high personalized experience. Data is so scattered around. Bringing data on one platform, extracting the things on the LLMs and other things involved. So that is a core need of your time. Rest comes your operational efficiency automation. Identify areas where AI can automate repetitively tasks, optimize process, and improve efficiency across various departments. So in a nutshell, AI is basically what we are feeding in.
Yep. Absolutely.
This technology is good as far as it's not dominating human being. And we can empower it that much to be of our use. That is the motive behind this technology. But we should be open to that. Anything what we are developing, it's a person is a step further in the dark web. So much of technology complications is also not needed. If AI is a buzzword now, it's not necessarily needed by all, frankly.
Yep. Absolutely.
If it's really needed,
Yep.
and if you can really ripe out benefits of it, then go for it massively. because AI adoption needs pretty good investment, pretty good manpower, and it's not just one-time thing. It's an ongoing process. The real bottleneck lies on the top end. So I mean, to get the approval, I mean, ये नई technology आप सो के उठे, आज आप नई technology की बात कर रहे हो. And this is all. I mean, अभी ये technology की आप discuss कर रहे हो, 2 महीने बाद AI से भी AI का भी बाप आ जाएगा.
No, absolutely,
तो
very
I mean,
well said.
we are always all on vigil. अपनी आंखें, कान, नाक सब खुली रखिए. और आंखें, कान, नाक से मुझे याद आया, AI जो आपकी टेक्नोलॉजी है, आपके ये 4-5 सेंसेस को छू नहीं कर सकते हैं. The human feelings, the human psychology. इन 2-4 चीज़ों से ये परे हैं. गॉड फॉरबिडन इसमें वो एक्सपर्टीज ना कर जाएं, वरना हमारे इमोशन से बहुत अच्छा खेल सकते हैं.
Yeah, that's very nice. Thank you so much for saying this. I think you actually gave us some very interesting thing which I want other panel members to actually also talk about, right? You said in this entire thing we have to bring, obviously ensure that our team gets it, our people get it. And you made a very important point which was about data, right? So what you feed in is what you get out, right? So how do you think, it goes through all the panel members here, right? How do you ensure when you're designing solutions or making products, which are AI empowered products, right? How do you ensure they're actually sitting on the right data set, right? And how do you bring in diversity in your information that comes in?
Yeah. Thanks, Anjali, for that question. So bringing into security by design, that's the most important point that we should all consider. So just on a lighter note, when we are designing a vehicle, do we do the design of brakes at the end, or when will the airbags come out, or is it integrated in the beginning of the design process? So what do you think? Do we need to do that at the end, or we need to introduce our security concepts while we are making our car development? So it should
to me, it should be the first thing, right? What do you think, people at the back, right? Audience, what do you think, right? We should be thinking after we have built the car, right? Okay, figure out when the airbags going to open.
No, so completely as Anjali said, so security has to be the first thing that we should look at, and that's why the concept of security by design comes in. And if you are a developer out there or any organization who are bringing out secure products into the market, there's a concept, I think most of you will be aware, but if not, it's very important, threat modeling. So threat modeling is one of the most important thing that is done in the very beginning, that you need to analyze all the kind of threats that can be made possible to attack the products that you are developing. So while I'm in CISCO, I'm developing the products there. Whenever we do the scoping of a product, threat modeling checklist is there, and we need to analyze any kind of data poisoning attacks, if that can occur into a product, or if there can be any kind of adversarial attacks that can happen once the product has been deployed, or if there can be prompt injection or data poisoning. So all these kind of checklists has to be done in the very beginning, which is called as threat modeling. Second, I would like to talk about the security by design. You would all know 2 kind of things are happening today. Either the individuals are using AI-based tools, like we are using ChatGPT to get our work done, or either we are developing the AI products ourselves. Now, if someone is using ChatGPT, how we can make it secure, like how the organizations can make those data transactions secure is, they need to do policing. So whichever employee is using ChatGPT to have some kind of data being generated, organizations need to do policing as what kind of AI tools the employee is interacting with, so that they can break that attempt there itself if the user can unintentionally leak confidential data. So second is, if someone is developing the AI products themselves, then what is important? There comes the picture of model validation. Now, if you are developing AI products, you are developing AI models for your customers. Now, your customers can be into aviation industry or hospitality industry, or even the industrial IoT, the mining is also using many kind of industrial IoT products. So model validation is very important, and that can be made possible. Earlier, like humans used to validate the models, but now we cannot fight AI being a human. We need to bring AI into the picture to fight those kind of AI who are making such kind of adversarial attacks or such kind of attacks into our product lines. Therefore, red teaming is a term, I think if you would be aware, but red teaming has been there, but now we need to bring algorithmic red teaming. And these red teaming comes into the picture that whenever a product is in the stages of being made, they do several kind of attacks. Like the developers only do many kind of attacks to proofread that our AI, whatever the AI model that we are developing, it is not reacting to any kind of provocative information. And any kind of information that we feed into it, it does not leak out any confidential data, or it doesn't start talking about something politically incorrect. So all kind of model validation are being done at the time of design and development itself. Another third point that I would like to add is explainable AI. So if you would have heard the term about explainable AI, if anyone has heard, can you just raise your hand? So explainable AI is, now you just used AI and you just developed a product. Like it was being discussed in the previous session that we are not aware about what design documents or what kind of diagrams that we are making. If you are not aware, you will just unknowingly leak something which can be just attacked by attacked by a hacker, because they will know what kind of vulnerabilities you just leaked in because you used a code generation tool and you didn't validate it. So that is why we need to bring into the picture that any kind of product that is being deployed, we need to just validate it at the end, and even after being deployment, continuous monitoring has to be happen. So these kind of design architectural developments are very important from the scratch. Do your threat modeling right. Once your product AI model is ready, then do the model validation through algorithmic red teaming is one of the aspects. And once the product is deployed, the organization work is not yet done. You just cannot leave your customers lying out there just ready to be fooled by AI. You need to do continuous monitoring of how the attackers are there and outside. They're just prying on every information which is there. So threat intelligence comes into the picture there. This is like determining what kind of threats are there, and remediation, incident response is very important after our products have been deployed. So these are some kind of angles that should be used throughout the product life cycle, from the inception of the product, from the design, from the development, and once it is out to the customers. So our onus is not just make a design and you can just sit out there. You need to be very responsible for all the customers out there, and AI also needs to be responsible. For example, we were talking about smart locks. So it is about smart homes. So now if you're just using a smart product out there and suddenly your camera stops recording, how would you come to know that why it stopped recording? So that AI needs to be explainable. You deployed a smart lock system, that AI should be explainable that why I did it. Now, if that AI tells you that why I am switching on or switching off the camera, you can come to know whether it's an attack or it's a genuine response at why it is happening. So such kind of things should be incorporated into our design and development of all the products.
Sure. Thank you so much, Richa. We'll have other panel members also add points, but you spoke two interesting things which we will double click on as we proceed, right? You mentioned that AI definitely is going to make its own decision and then it's there. But for the customer, I'm irritated because, my camera isn't working, right? You switched it off, right? And then the brand that provided me that service is that brand, I will never go for it, right? For me, it doesn't matter. What you do at the back, that's your back-end technology thing, right? For me, the customer, I need a seamless experience at the end of the day, right? So with that, I'll just give you people a trigger, right? So we live in a world, we talk about personalization a lot, right? So here I'm giving an example. For me, I don't understand all jargons that you're giving me from a tech perspective, right? I need my system to work. I need my camera to work, right? But it has stopped working. I am frustrated. I will not go and use your product at all, right? So that's a question back to all the panel members here. How do you think the brands need to construct a communication mechanism for their end customers, right? What are the different kind of mechanisms or methods we need to construct that addresses the problem at the back, which is technology driven? Second, how do you actually address the individual who is at a problem, right? Yeah, please.
Really a great question. I would like to start with a quick example here. So what happened last month was there was an employee in our organization who reported that why I am being challenged for multi-factor. It's asking for OTP again and again, and it has been like twice in a day, and this should not be there because I am in my office, I am in VPN, blah blah. So we checked the logs. What happened was the last night was there was a hacker maybe trying to get into his profile, and he was a usual engineer, and we checked that there was some attacks from France and China to his account. So we informed the user, and then he was all aware that okay, if that was the case, then I should be attentive. So my only suggestion to all the organizations, to government, to you and me and every individual would be that please be aware of what's happening around you. Use AI tools, cybersecurity tools as much as you can. I understand there should be a balance between security versus convenience, right? But I personally think that security is convenience. If you are being challenged for MFA, that is for a reason. Nothing is unnecessary. We as a cybersecurity team, we are taking care of all the AI tools and configurations, but if something is happening just with your account, that means there are bad attackers outside who are doing that. So nothing is unnecessary. So I believe security is convenience.
I'll just quickly add on to it. I think Richa has made all the points, so there is nothing much left to say.
Yeah, she's full of data information, by the way.
Full of energy as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Only two things. One, when we are talking about security by design, I'm just picking on to what she mentioned. So there is something called DevSecOps. So whenever we are building a product, that's where the security comes right from the design, right at the very first step. Any product design team which is creating any products and shipping it back to the customers, DevSecOps is an integral part of that particular organization. Number two, when we are talking about what Nawal was also mentioning, the users understand that in the era of AI, or even in the era of internet, there are a lot of threat actors who are trying to steal the data. And with AI coming in, what is happening now is, there is a new funda which has come in, which is known as harvest now, decrypt later. So steal the data, we will decrypt it later. We will see when we are able to decrypt. Doesn't matter whether I'm able to use it right now or not. I will just steal it. There is some other team which will decrypt it, maybe after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, then we will see what is the value of the data, and then we will sell it in the black market. So that fundamental has also come into the play. Now there is a third thing. When we are awareing the users who are there, whether it is through the multi-factor authentications, whether you are using the passkeys or even the endpoint protection, everything comes into the play. The most fundamental thing is the awareness. If the user is aware why the organization or why the product organization is asking the user to do something, if you are able to connect them to the threat which is there, that if you are not going to do this, that this can happen, this is what you will lose, right? 99% there is always a yes, and people are more responsive towards protecting their own data because there is so much which is going on. There is enough information which is on YouTube, there is enough information which is on social media, there are enough attacks which are taking place. People are well connected, at least in the metros and the other organizations as well.
Hi. Yeah, we are entering the age of self-actualization. Maslow was right. The highest human need is no longer survival or belonging, it's growth. And today, technology is forcing that truth upon us. Here's the reality. Many will remain stuck in survival mode, losing jobs, blaming systems and refusing to adapt. But a few will rise. They'll step into what I call human potential 2.0. What does that look like? Peak performance, eating, sleeping, exercising with discipline. Converting knowledge into wisdom. Then acting from clarity, not chaos. Adopting faster than the market, offering what no AI or machine can replace. Human connection, connectivity, and psycho-spiritual growth. The truth is, disruption is coming. Be prepared. The next 2-3 years will shake careers, industries, and identities. The choice is simple. Will you remain stuck in survival mode, or will you step into human potential 2.0? Choice is yours.
That's a very beautiful closure to the entire thing. So before we open for questions, I know we ran out of time. There are two things I will just make as a closing statement, and that we can have audience ask questions. One is that when we talk about, you know, the brand, right, and the end customer at the end of the day, right? For example, we just talked about a damage has happened, and I don't even know about the damage, right? And you have cut every access that I would have. I am frustrated because I don't know anything. What brands have to really do, right? They need to ensure by some mechanism you're informing the individual what has happened exactly at that point in time. What is happening, we're actually doing the fixes later on, right? Let the person wonder for many hours, it's okay, the guy is frustrated. And then if somehow he's able to reach out to the brand, he'll get the answer. Otherwise, you know, we'll answer it, you know, give him details later on. That is where it is breaking. I think while the damage is happening faster, we have solution which is actually getting ideated, and the solution is coming from the back end. We also need very thorough communication coming from brand to the end customer, because it has to be 360 solutioning. It cannot be one and not the other, right? And last closing statement, when any damage happens, nobody makes a call to a CTO, hey, you know, some data has got gone out. What really happens is this: people stop trusting the brand, right? They stop using it. Now, with all that in mind, we have understood a lot of things, right? One, from a human-centric perspective, brand perspective, communication perspective, and we also talked about how back-end system has to be enabled to ensure that we live in a safe and secured world, a world which doesn't stop, the world that continuously keep growing, and we as human always keep shining, right? Now, questions in case you have any.
So can we have a big round of applause for a wonderful panel? And we can take one question.
So my question is for all of you, that bigger organizations, like you mentioned, there are so many attacks, and you also figured out like a lot of people didn't even know about it, and we all are in AI space and all. So how a smaller organization can do the policing that you spoke about, or how they can come up with the things that are actually enabling organizations to do these things without having a huge infrastructure cost to it, or at a very primary level, how can we see what our employees are actually doing in AI space and how we can control it?
I'll just tell you one thing. The AI concept is, I mean, generally, it's for the big-hearted people, the big companies. I mean, the adoption of AI in SMEs or maybe lower SMEs, you have to have a big heart, because it's good infrastructure, good mindset, good skill set. Plus, I mean, good amount of money will be flooded into it. So the SMEs, generally what we SMEs are, we are not leaders in adoption of technology. Sorry to say, we are followers. We wait for the technology, the price need to come down, and it should be mass adopted, and then we'll go for it. So I mean, you have to make a choice, whether you jump into that seat of a leader, or you, I mean, wait and watch and let the technology rule, or maybe it becomes a necessity for you. No, by hook or crook, money, efforts, or maybe the manpower, you will have to adopt it, guy. You will have to.
Yeah. So if I may give a pointer here, right, what you asked, you have a great question in terms of, I have a startup, I want to do it, I want to use AI, and I'm using it. How do I put my guardrails? I don't think you have to invent everything yourself. You should not. There are a lot of vendor partners available. There are a lot of, you know, software providers are there who can come in, right? You can go for tie-ups, right? Understand with them what benefit they're bringing in, and is that economical enough for you to employ it, right? And put that onto table. See, as Sir rightly mentioned, right? We hate it, we like it, right? The fact is, AI implementation is in itself is a expensive avenue to begin with, right? But as years pass by, I think we will see a lot of, you know, right now there are a lot of mushroom organizations, but later on there'll be one full pack organization that'll be providing full service as one, right? And it will also have a lot of benefits in terms of cost centralization, and a lot of discounting and others will also come in. Right now, for one typical task, I might have to use 5 different agencies or companies to do that for me, but later on I will have only one. I pay that organization and I'm done for it, right? And we will see that happening very, very soon, right? I hope that answers.
Yeah, just adding on to that point, for smaller organizations, right, security is never a choice. Security is an investment, right? So just like the insurance, we all take our health insurances, right? So the same way organizations should always invest in good tools. Of course, there are expensive tools as well, but start with the small one, a very basic one, and then you can grow like that. So yeah, it's an investment ultimately. Prevention is always better than cure, and I hope you don't have to pay for the cure, because if you can pay for the prevention, then definitely not.
And you have to do it if you have to be in the business, otherwise don't do this business at all, right? Because we cannot do a business only because we want to do it. At the end of the day, you are actually harming the individuals who will be using your platforms and services.
Biggest mistake startups do is investing on the capex. Cut on the capex, use the SaaS platform or something, move to cloud. That makes more sense.
Yeah, just one thing to add here. You're completely right. Not every SME or every organization can invest so much into cybersecurity. Every organization is different. They are into their niche domains. So yes, partnership is the key there. We can collaborate with bigger partners, might come at a cost price, but even the bigger partners have their products which can be taken into licensing. How much of the features do you want to use? So you can only take those many features that are essential for your product, and that would even cut down the price of it. Like if I talk about CISCO itself, CISCO has numerous products, and if we cannot discount the startups. It's not about bigger fish or smaller fish. Startups are a key ecosystem of what is being made into the world today. Like cybersecurity, if I talk about Cisco Duo, it was a startup once, and then it got integrated into Cisco, and it is now giving us multi-factor authentication. So not discounting the SMEs or the startups, everyone is into their niche domains. We can do collaboration because not everyone can be into security. Cisco has AI defense, which does this policing well. So the people who would want to look into different kind of security, they can look at different partners and also look into licensing feature, that if that cost can be, if it is good at cost, being cost effective in protecting our users. So that can be done by the SMEs as well. So I would like Ankur to add.
Sure. 30 seconds update only because the time is up. So there are a lot of organizations which are offering security as a service. And there you are also paying basis what you are using their services for. It is not that now they are not, okay, I have bought, then I have to pay again and again. It's a subscription model, right? So when that comes in, like cloud, it is a pay as you go. Whatever you are going to use, that is only you are going to pay for it. It is the same model which is coming in. Everything is now as a service in the market. Use that, use the ecosystem. There are system integrators and all that. Whatever your primary GTM is, go-to-market strategy is, focus onto that, rest use the ecosystem. That's how the small organizations can move forward.
So can we have a big round of applause for a wonderful panel discussion too. So I would request all the speakers to come forward for the group photograph. So memories to cherish. So can we have a light music, please?